The arena lights burned bright over Dignity Health Sports Park, casting long shadows across the canvas as anticipation built with every passing second. The crowd wasn't just waiting for a fight, they were waiting for a statement. Two fighters stood on opposite sides of the ring, carrying not just their records, but their pride, their nations, and their futures into a collision that felt inevitable. On one side stood Andres Figueroa, a man who had seen both victory and defeat. His record, reflecting the harsh reality of the sport: 9 wins, 4 losses, and 5 knockouts. He wasn't undefeated, he wasn't untouchable, but fighters like him carried something dangerous: resilience forged in adversity. He had been dropped before, tested before, and yet here he was, still standing, still willing to step into the fire. Across from him, in the blue corner, was a rising storm, Rolando Romero. Undefeated, explosive, 8 wins, 7 knockouts. A fighter whose reputation wasn't built on patience, but on destruction. He didn't just win fights, he ended them. And as he stepped forward, there was a quiet confidence about him, the kind that doesn't need to shout because it knows exactly what it's capable of. The bell rang, and the tension snapped instantly. Romero wasted no time. From the opening seconds, he moved with sharp intent, his punches snapping through the air with speed and authority. A quick left hand landed early, clean and precise, sending a subtle but unmistakable message. This wasn't going to be a slow chess match. This was going to be a war dictated by pressure. Figueroa responded cautiously, his guard tight, eyes locked on Romero's shoulders, searching for patterns, for tells. He knew the danger in front of him. You don't stand across from a knockout artist without feeling it, but he wasn't there to survive. He was there to compete. Romero, however, fought like a man who had already seen the ending. He pressed forward relentlessly, throwing combinations with aggressive intent. Every punch seemed loaded, as if he believed each one could end the night. The commentators noted it, his tendency to throw everything hard, every shot carrying bad intentions. It was powerful, yes, but also reckless. There were moments where his left hand dropped low, his chin floated just a little too high, small openings that a sharper, faster opponent might exploit. But Figueroa wasn't fully capitalizing. His offense centered around a single weapon, a counter left hook. Again and again he waited, trying to time Romero as he came in. It was a dangerous strategy, relying on precision in the face of chaos, and for brief moments, it almost worked. As the rounds progressed, the fight began to settle into a rhythm. Romero advancing, Figueroa retreating, looking for counters. The punch stats told the story clearly. Romero was landing far more, overwhelming. Figueroa with volume and aggression, but there was something else in the air too. A sense that the fight was building towards something inevitable. Because Romero wasn't just trying to win rounds, he was hunting. By the second round, the cracks began to show. Figueroa, while still composed, was being pushed back more consistently. His counters lacked the sting needed to deter Romero, and each exchange seemed to favor the undefeated fighter just a little more. Romero's confidence grew with every landed shot, his movements becoming more assertive, more daring. Still, he wasn't perfect. The commentators pointed it out. His footwork, stepping flat instead of on his toes, limiting his explosiveness. His habit of throwing every punch with maximum force rather than mixing speeds and setups. These were flaws, the kind that could cost him dearly against elite competition. But on this night, against this opponent, they weren't being punished. Instead, they were being overshadowed by his raw power. Then came the turning point. It started, subtly. A counterhook from Romero that landed just a little cleaner than the others. Figueroa felt it. You could see it in the slight hesitation, the brief moment where his rhythm broke, and Romero saw it too. That's the thing about knockout artists. They don't just punch hard, they recognize weakness instantly. Romero surged, forward, his energy shifting from pressure to pursuit. Another shot landed, then another. Figueroa tried to respond, even attempting to tie him up at one point, but Romero's momentum was building too fast. The punches came in rapid succession now, a barrage that blurred the line between calculated offense and raw instinct. At one moment, Figueroa was still standing, still fighting back. The next, everything unraveled. A brutal sequence unfolded. Left, hook, right hand, another hook. 5-6 punches landing in quick succession. The crowd roared as Romero unleashed everything he had, sensing the finish within reach. Figueroa somehow was still on his feet, still trying to fire back, his counterhook appearing almost out of habit at this point. But the damage was done, and then it happened. In a split-second exchange, both fighters threw hooks, but Romero's landed cleaner, sharper, slipping through Figueroa's guard with surgical precision. It was the shot he had been setting up all night, whether consciously or not. Figueroa went down, not just falling, but collapsing, his body hitting the canvas. With a sickening impact, his head struck hard, the kind of landing that sends a chill through anyone watching. The arena, so loud just moments before, shifted into a different kind of noise, one of shock, concern, and disbelief, because this wasn't just a knockdown. This was a knockout. Romero stood back, watching as the reality of what he had done settled in. The referee moved quickly, but it was already clear. The fight was over. Medical staff rushed in as Figueroa began to stir, attempting to sit up to signal that he was okay. But caution took priority. In boxing, the punch is dangerous, but the fall can be even worse, and this was one of those falls. As he was attended to, the replay told the story in brutal clarity. Romero slipping the punch, threading his hook inside Figueroa's guard, landing exactly where it needed to. It wasn't just power, it was precision, a perfect shot at the perfect moment. The official announcement came soon after. At 1 minute and 27 seconds of round 4, the referee waved it off. Victory by knockout, still undefeated. Rolando Romero had done it again. But what stood out wasn't just the result, it was the certainty behind it. In the post-fight interview, Romero spoke with the calm assurance of someone who had already envisioned the outcome. He claimed he knew exactly how it would end, that the uppercut-hook combination was always going to be the key. Whether it was confidence, prediction, or sheer belief, it didn't matter. He had backed it up, and in doing so, he sent a message. This wasn't just another win, it was a declaration of intent. Romero wasn't thinking about small steps or slow progression. He was already looking ahead, title eliminators, world championships, collecting belts. His ambitions weren't hidden. They were laid out clearly, boldly, like a fighter who sees the path in front of him and has no intention of slowing down. But beneath the celebration, beneath the highlight reel knockout, there were layers to this performance. There was brilliance, the timing, the power, the killer instinct. And there were questions, the defensive gaps, the reliance on power, the technical habits that might be exposed against higher level opponents. Because boxing has a way of revealing everything eventually. For now, though, none of that mattered. On this night, under the lights of Carson, California, Romero didn't just win, he dominated. He broke through Figueroa's resilience, overcame his own imperfections, and delivered a finish that left no doubt about the result. And as the crowd filed out, replaying the knockout in their minds, one thing lingered in the air. This was only the beginning, because fighters like Romero don't just chase victories, they chase legacy. And if this performance was any indication, he was ready to take that pursuit as far as it could go. So now the question turns to you. Was this the performance of a future world champion? Or are those defensive flaws a ticking time bomb waiting for the right opponent? Can Rolando Romero carry this explosive style all the way to the top? Or will someone eventually expose the risks he takes every time he steps into the ring? And what about Andres Figueroa? How does a fighter come back from a knockout like that, both physically and mentally? If you felt the intensity of this fight, if you could feel that moment building before the knockout landed, then you already know this is why we watch boxing. Drop your thoughts, break down the fight your way, and if you want more deep cinematic breakdowns like this, make sure you stay locked in.